Hi, welcome to Rebooted Mindset, formerly Rebooted the podcast. I'm your host, Alita Hernandez. Come join me every Wednesday and Sunday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time to hear real-life conversations with experts around the world on how we can heal our body, mind, soul, and spirit. So let's get talking. Hi, everybody. Alita Hernandez back to you again on Rebooted the podcast, and simultaneously will be aired on Nuestro magazine as well. I'm with a guest today, an author, Mark Scott, correct? Yes, Mark Scott.
Correct. Yes.
And you said this is the second book in your series. So I guess give us a little bit of background about yourself and, like how you start writing these books.
Well, I actually tried writing my first novel when I was 15, unsuccessfully, because I was 15, and there was too much going on. But as the years progressed, I kept trying. Finally finished my first one about 15 years ago or so, and that didn't go anywhere. I wrote another one, didn't go anywhere. Wrote a third, found an agent. She liked it, publishers not so much. And then so I said, well, what do you want me to do now, Nancy? She said, write another book. So
like it's that simple, right?
It was very simple.
Really?
Yeah. In her mind, that's, you just let it, do it. And I was hiking Pikes Peak with a small group. And one in the group was a scientist, and she was telling me about one night where she was going to go out and get drunk and record everything she was thinking and feeling, like a scientist might do.
Right.
And and I said, holy crap. And she called it her drunk log. So I said, can I have that idea for free? And she said, it's yours. And then she got altitude poisoning and she forgot all about the conversation. No, I'm just kidding. But altitude sickness rather. And I wrote drunk log, gave it to my agent. She, again, was doing her job looking for a publisher and found one who asked if I could make it and, do some sequels to it. Mm-hmm. And I said, heck yeah, if it'll get me published, I can continue this story, So Drunk Log came out last year, First Date, the second book of the series, which is confusing because it's called First Date and it's the second book. But came out at the end of May. And the third one, I imagine it's written, it should be out before the end of the year.
Yeah. So the series of books is based on those drunk logs that your friend was doing. Is that
correct? So yeah, the series itself is called A Day in the Life. Each book covers 8 hours of a 24-hour period.
Okay.
For the two main characters.
Nice.
Are Jack and Aria. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read the book yet. I have it's very interesting. I was just thinking about this while you were talking, that I've been speaking to a number of authors, and I'm impressed with all of you that there are so many people out there writing books.
It's frightening.
It's unbelievable how many books there are, but it's good. It's a good thing. We need to keep that going, because I feel like since we're in the digital age now, it's just not the same anymore. I mean,
agreed. Yeah.
I like a book. I like to hold a book and, and sit in a corner somewhere and read a book. And, you're always on the phone. Like, I read things here all the time too, but it's not the same. It's just, I don't know. You kind of lose something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's 50 million books on Amazon. 50 million, which is an incredible number of books. So that includes, self-published and published.
Right.
But I agree with you. Your brain, statistically, Kindle and electronic book sales has stagnated while paper book sales continue to increase. And I think that's because our brains do react differently to an analog sort of turn the page tactile experience than it does to an electronic screen we have in front of us. And what I'm for sure of, because I have read this, is that when you're handwriting is a different relationship in your brain than typing.
Yes.
And then typing is different than a computer typing. And it's amazing that, you know, we're figuring all this stuff out about their end. But as a writer, you know, I like paper. I like paper because you can drop it. It doesn't hurt it. You can spill coffee on it and you can still read it. You know, you can carry it on an airplane. And if you leave it behind, you're not freaking out because it was
you don't need to charge it.
Item.
You don't have to charge your book.
You don't have to charge it, right? You can pick it up and read it literally anywhere, as long as you've got a glow from your watch or something like that.
Something, yeah. I bought one of those at the dollar store. I bought one of those little lights you put on the book.
I have one of those as well.
Because I can't.
Yeah.
As you get older, you can't really see very well, so.
I wouldn't know, Alita.
You're hiding your glasses.
Well, no. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was another question that just led me to.
But I really enjoyed writing. I mean, I enjoy writing and Drunk Log especially. I brought the idea back here to Cincinnati and talked to another writer friend of mine named Jim DeBross. And he goes, "Oh, that's a great idea, but you gotta, why is he doing it?" So I created the story based on advice I was given by another writer, because his opinion was, what's he gonna do, just sit there and drink for 8 hours? And I'm like, yeah.
Some people do.
Why not?
Man, if I would have written the logs the times I used to go out and be out drinking and partying with friends, and who knows, I mean, I still remember a lot of things, and I've always said, oh, I want to write. And somebody told me, when you start even writing a little bit, like even a journal, that can become a book.
Yes.
So I've never really been a journal person. Like, I'll write once in a while, but I'm not an avid journal writer. I know a lot of people that I know now do that for personal growth. They do journaling to see where they're at and everything like that. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I can start doing that. I just do so much interviews and so much talking that I'm already telling my story. So it's like trying to convert it.
I would venture to say that it will sound different if you write it down.
Oh, yeah.
Than you and I chatting here. It's weird what comes out through the pen or through the typewriter or through the computer once you start in, and then you go back and read it, a year later or 5 days later or whatever. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I have some of those. I'm waking up like 3 a.m, like from a dream or something, and it's a great idea, and I just grab the phone on, I dictate it, or start typing, and next day I read and I go, I wrote that? Wow, that was pretty good. Like, I was like, like I must have been in another subconscious writing or something,
Oh, I'm quite often the opposite. I'll read it days later and think it's crap. That's how I know the difference. That's how I know the difference. If something makes it all the way into the book or into a book, it's because I've reread it 10 times and it's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of discipline to do something like that would you do, and many others do, on so many subjects. And what I was thinking is, what's your take on this, talking about writing? There's a writer's strike going on in Hollywood, and people don't realize the ramification of that. Like, I don't know if people realize, have you seen that there's no new episodes, like no new episodes of shows and things like that, because there's no writers. Writers are very important.
Well, one of a good friend, we were watching a show or something, and she, just out of the blue, she says, a writer wrote that. It was nice of her to point that out to me. Sometimes you just got to remember that. But the writer, I don't understand all the issues of the writer's strike. I understand that. I mean, where are you located, Alita?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay, so we're in the
I used to live in California, so I know I know they're in Hollywood. All that's coming out of Hollywood, California, where
Yeah,
the studios are.
I would support it because I think that and I think the actors now are in on it too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't read too much about it. I know that it came up. It happened back in, I want to say the late 80s. There was a writer's strike also, because
Okay.
I was living in California at the time and I had a good friend. When you live in I lived in Hollywood, California. So everybody's either a writer or an actor, right? Or wanna be.
Sure, just like Cincinnati.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that show. Was it Hot in Cincinnati? Remember that show? You ever
Wait,
seen
what's it
that?
called?
Hot in Cincinnati or something like that.
I
It's
don't
with
remember that one.
There's a show with Betty White was in it.
Really?
It was so funny. It's a comedy.
Oh, I think I do sort of remember that.
Like they moved. One of them was an actress. She moved from Hollywood to Cincinnati. So her way her life is, and it was a fun. It was
It
a
was
fun
probably a
thing.
lot better here in Cincinnati than it was in California.
Probably.
I'm very pro Cincinnati.
I've never been there, so I can't say. I haven't been to the Midwest or anything.
So Drunk Log actually all occurs, the first book essentially all occurs in my neighborhood, which is called Over the Rhine. And he goes from, there's many bars in Over the Rhine. It's very, it can be very touristy on the weekends, but and then the second book takes him up into Clifton, where University of Cincinnati is. If you're familiar with that school.
No, I don't know. And like I said, I don't know anything about Cincinnati. I haven't been, I was born in New York, left New York, went to California, lived there, had my kids there, eloped to Vegas, then moved here to Florida. So I went East Coast to West Coast and back.
Now they're actually, I grew up in the Midwest. The only time I was on a coast was when I was in the Navy. And it was in Virginia. The thing is here, they probably make 6 or 8 movies a year here now.
Oh, wow.
They're in my neighborhood, there's 800 plus buildings on an historic register that were built 160 years ago.
Nice.
So it's a great stand-in if you're trying to do New York or somewhere.
Okay.
Or Cincinnati itself. Emilio Estevez loves Cincinnati. He built, after he visited in 2016, he built a house somewhere near here. It's a great secret. I keep trying to figure out where it is, but not that I'm not stalking Emilio Estevez. Don't think that, but my mom is.
I've met him several times. So I didn't know that. So luckily, I just learned a little secret of Emilio. I didn't know he had a house in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I see him in Miami. I've seen him on different red carpets because I do media coverage. And so one time I saw him in New York at the Tony Awards, and I said, "Are you following me, Emilio? I just saw you in Miami." He starts laughing.
He is such a supporter of the area, and my mom has actually stalked him twice. Both at the same restaurant. So I've told her to stop and let the man eat.
Yeah, he's very nice man.
She's just trying to sell my book. So
like, here, take the book.
Well,
yeah, I met him. I met his sister Lily, and I met Gloria Stefan as well. And I've met a lot of people down here.
I'm sure
Miami is insane. I live in Boca Raton, and I have my studio in Fort Lauderdale. So we're like 30 minutes to Miami from Fort Lauderdale. And I go to Miami when I need to. And I literally say,
otherwise you avoid it. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
It's just, it's very congested now. They are making the highway is like a triple decker now.
Everybody wears bikinis in Miami, right?
Pretty much. Down in South Beach. If you go, well, it depends on where you're in Miami. If you're in the South Beach and the Miami in the beach area, that's a tourist area. People, there's beach right there. So
do they go to business meetings in bikinis?
No.
No. Okay. I just wanted to draw, where is the line drawn?
No, not much. It's not Baywatch all the time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it's a different, we have a very eclectic culture. Of course, the Hispanic culture is more dominant down in Miami. I always say Miami is the second Cuba. Um, because when I first moved here,
Non-communist Cuba.
no, not communist Cuba, just,
Right. No, that's what I mean. It's the second Cuba. It's the non-communist
right,
Cuba.
it's the
Yeah.
American Cuba. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So my family's from Puerto Rico, so island as well. But when I went to Miami the first time when I moved here, I was like, people don't speak English? Like I went into a store and I go, excuse me, I didn't know where I was, and I'm asking directions, and the guy just looks at me. And I'm like, why? Why is he not talking to me? And then the person behind me starts talking to him, and he's like, oh, blah, 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 and he starts talking Spanish, Cuban Spanish, right? And I go, oh. So then I realized that majority of the people, when you get in the heart of Miami, okay, not downtown,
Uh-huh.
not even, I mean, downtown you'll get it, but there's more English. But there's a lot of places that it's strictly Spanish.
Well, that's the history of this country, isn't it? You know, that the immigrant groups come in and then bring their language and culture with them, and it's awesome. I have spent some time in Cuba, oddly enough, although it was in the Navy, and it was in Guantanamo Bay. Yeah. Where I got a conch shell. There's a big conch bed in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
All those
you're
big,
not
the big shells.
right. And you're not supposed to, but I took one anyway. I'm a rebel.
Wow.
I didn't realize there was I was dumb. I didn't realize there was an animal in it. And then this animal died because I had taken it back to the ship.
Oh, you didn't know about the conch that's in there.
Right. I was from Ohio, you know how much I know it. So,
You're like, what's that smell?
If you want to talk about corn, I can talk about corn all day. But the conch's not so much. And then my shipmates complained because it was stinking up the berthing. I tried everything to get that. It took a week to get the dead animal out of there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I shook it overboard like this, off the side.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like a big mussel or something. It's like a big, I don't like it.
They
I
turn
know,
them
I don't,
into
they eat them in Bahamas a lot.
Yeah.
That's like their specialty, and I don't like it. I'm like, nah, I'll eat a salad. It's okay.
Yeah. After my conch experience, I'll never try eating one.
Exactly. After seeing that and smelling it, you're like, no way. I was just thinking about that you did these books of like the Chronicle, like an 8-hour period. I can just see you have to come down to like Little Havana in Miami and do a book. The difference in the culture. It would be kind of interesting,
Are you talking about with the same characters or a whole new character set?
Like a whole new character, like now, like a cultural thing,
you know what? I agree. It would be I wrote a book called Burning Buildings, and at the end of the book, my main character is flying to Prague.
Oh, okay.
Now I've never been to Prague, so I couldn't have him land yet.
Yeah.
But I figure I'll go to Prague and then I'll write a sequel to that book as soon as I have the lay of the land. So
yeah, if you go to Prague, it's beautiful. I've been there.
But Little Havana would be awesome as well, I think, from what I've seen on TV.
Yeah. I mean, Little Havana, there's a lot of things going on now. There's a lot of new buildings. They're kind of rebuilding Little Havana because it's a poor area, but that's where the tourists go. So you have a lot of the cigar shops. They hand roll cigars. You have the Cubans rolling the cigars right there. It's really
cool. No kidding.
Yeah, they roll.
I do like cigars.
Yeah. So that's very good. You can buy all the guayaberas, the shirts from Cuba and Puerto Rico that we wear. There's certain shirts that we wear. Simba, they have the shirts, they have the hats, a lot of stores for hats. And just like a lot of little cultural things, clothing and the cigars and then the music. The music is the biggest thing. So my husband's from Puerto Rico and he's a salsa singer. And so there's a lot of music down here. Miami is inundated with artists. And usually when you go down to Little Havana, you will be in a setting that you can go, there's a place called, it's called, oh my God, I forgot the name. It's I was gonna say Guantanamo, but it's not. It starts with a G, but I can't think of it. But it's a cigar bar. So you go there, you have your cigar, you have your cognac, and then you have a live band playing.
Is it
So
the Guapa cigar bar?
it's some.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
No,
making up.
I can't remember now. I gotta look it up.
Or El Guapo cigar bar.
But there's a lot of places like that, and then now there's a Puerto Rican restaurant that opened up in Little Havana, which is awesome. So you got a little different flavor because Cuban food and Puerto Rican food are very similar, but they have their differences. So, and the music is different, like salsa from Cuba and salsa from Puerto Rico is different. They have certain little differences, but usually we have this Saturday we have a salsa night at our studio, and it usually is a Colombian crowd, which is a whole nother crowd of people. And when they come, they party hard. They stay till 4 or 5 in the morning. They bring instruments, they bring guidos, they bring congas, and they play with the DJ. They play music and they engulf themselves in the
Wow.
music. They sing, they dance.
Do you
And
stay till 4 in the morning? Do you feel
yeah,
very tired the next day when you have to get up at 8 o'clock?
yeah, but I don't get up at 8 o'clock. No, usually Sunday is my day off, unless I have an event, because I have an event space in Fort Lauderdale, where that's where my office is, and then that's where we do different events that people rent that out for parties and weddings and things like that. And we do a lot of showcases, music showcases, and different things, wellness things. Because for the podcast too, I do some stuff there. And but they'll stay till 4. And sometimes we'll have to tell them we have to shut the lights off. I mean, turn them on because we're like, no, it's time to go. And it'll be 4:30. They're still, come on, can I get another drink? No, you can't get another drink. Go. And I'm sober like all night, so it's weird to be up like in my life now from times before when I used to really drink. So to be 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like sober, you're like, oh my God, like you're watching everybody's a whole different. It's a whole different mental trip.
I'm sure. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. It sucks being the sober one.
No, but I have a good time anyway because I love the music. So you can, what I mean? You don't need alcohol to have a good time.
Oh no,
So,
certainly not. But to be the designated driver in your group full of
oh,
people, you know,
they get all loud and they're all
that's a different experience. Then you find you're the adult suddenly,
Then that's when you start videotaping. Let me videotape you so you can see yourself tomorrow.
or yeah.
And then now I go, boy, did I look that silly?
Well, that was one of the my characters are tipsy or drinking through the entire book series. Not heavily, for first book pretty heavily, but they're each on their little journey through all the bars in my neighborhood, and one's trying to find the other, but and then she finds them right at the end of the book, and she has to because there's a second book and a third.
Oh, so the two of them
if she
are
doesn't
out.
find them, there's no book.
So they're out to bar hopping, and then they can't find each other, and they finally find each other in one bar at the last bar or whatever.
Well, so his story is that he's responsible for the death of his 7-year-old nephew. And so a year after the accident, he decides he's going to kill himself by jumping off our suspension bridge that goes between Cincinnati, Ohio, and Covington, Kentucky, over the Ohio River. And but before he does that, he buys himself a notebook, and he decides he's just going to get drunk and write everything he thinks and feels in the notebook, the drunk log. And then the bartender, his female semi-love interest, gets hold of his log, reads part of it, doesn't say anything specifically about killing himself, but her spidey sense is tingling, and she decides she's got to go. He leaves, but she decides she's going to go find him. So she gets somebody to cover her shift. And then she starts hitting bar to bar to bar, not sort of in parallel, but on a separate street,
Right.
and she finally catches up to him on the bridge itself after.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's the end of that book. The next book starts with them crawling out of the river after Yeah.
Mm.
I'm trying not to give too much away.
No, I know.
They clearly, they do survive. And the first aid, this is called first aid because about halfway through the book, they've decided that their little adventure, they're just going to consider it to be their
The
first
first
date.
date. Oh my goodness. We'll talk about a first date.
Right. It's very exciting. Tell all your readers.
Well, that's why we buy books, right? To live in the story, to disappear in the book, right? To
It's a safe way to live vicariously through others.
yes,
Yeah.
that's a great way to say it. Yes.
And,
So I encourage
know,
everybody out there, get a new book, get Mark's new book. There's a lot of different books out there, different interests, whatever interests you that calls onto you. Get a new book out there and get a real book. Get some paper.
and that you can take it to the beach and drop it. It won't hurt it.
Exactly. And you can't read your phone at the beach. Have you ever tried? I even bought a little
It's too bright.
umbrella. I bought a little umbrella that goes over it. It just doesn't work. It still doesn't work. And then the phone starts getting hot.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, my phone's going to explode in the middle of the sun, especially here. Do you have any idea? The other day, it was 93 degrees, right? But it was 90% humidity.
Actually, I do get that. My sister lives in Tampa.
Okay.
And also Cincinnati gets surprisingly humid. It's been a great summer this summer for it, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But it's been a very mild summer here. Usually it's a little hotter and more humid. Have the river right there evaporating into the valley.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so
You have mountains though, right? You have mountains?
The Kentucky side is, you know, geographically, Kentucky is where the mountains really begin. The Cincinnati has very tall hills around it. And it was
okay.
once called the City of Seven Hills, you know, sort of a, you know, they was rather arrogant to compare it to Rome, but that's neither here nor there.
They wish it was Rome, right?
But yeah, the mountains really start about a mile from here.
Oh, okay. That's not that far though. So you can see them. You can see them.
You can see them, the foothills. You can see them.
Yeah. That's one thing I do miss about living in California is the mountains, the views.
Well, those are some serious mountains out there.
Those are just, it's beautiful. And I used to live in the valley, in the San Fernando Valley. So I used to drive on the foothill highway, which goes through the foothill mountains. So you would drive and literally you had the huge mountains on both sides and you're driving right through like a tunnel. It was just, I would just be like, oh, every day I would be like, wow, just, you know, it's just beautiful, the nature, everything. You know?
Oh yeah, California's beautiful, even when it's on fire.
But earthquakes. I've been there when there was earthquakes.
There's some problems, you know, they're experiencing some issues.
So you get earthquakes here, we get hurricanes over here, you know. You get tornadoes in the Midwest, you get rain, you get, I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter where you go, there's going to be something, you know, naturally. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. And we look for you said you have a third book that you're working on. And
well, it's written. It should be out before the end of the year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So we'll talk again for the third one. And
that'd be great.
And I'll look for it too. So I can get the book and
tell everybody to go buy this.
Yeah, first date. And I'll put all the links and everything here on the podcast so they know how to reach you. And you have Instagram and all that, or Facebook or anything?
Yeah, I have a Mark E. Scott author on Facebook. Same for Instagram. I have a www.Mark E. Scott author website.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy the book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all online, or some local bookstores have it here in Cincinnati. But I should try some bookstores down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I don't.
Uh-oh, you're frozen.
Oh, I froze?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or else you were. Okay.
I'm unfrozen.
You are. I can see you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you still recording?
Yes, I'm still recording.
I hate that I said that then.
It's okay. It's all good. This is
Okay.
all a natural show. I never script anything. We just talk, because I just make it real. But yeah, great. So we can find you on
Author.
markyscott.com and
MarkyScottAuthor.com.
markyscottauthor.com, and then
Mhm.
also on social media. So I will put all those links up there so everybody can find you and order the book. First date.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great, great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Alita. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Come celebrate your event and create new memories at Studio 33, right here in Fort Lauderdale, off the Exit 32 Commercial Boulevard. Call us today so you can schedule an appointment and see the location. It's an intimate setting for your private event. Call us at 954-530-7193. Again, 954-530-7193. Also, our website is studio33f as in Frank, ll.com. And you can find us on all social media at Studio 33 FLL as well. Again, call us today for your appointment and come see our venue. We are filling up fast.